Our story continues from part 1. If you haven't seen that video, I will suggest you do before watching this video. The story so far. Moni was born into the family of Akinkanju, a brave and fearsome warrior, and Abeni, a simple market woman. Moni never knew her father or mother because her father died in battle way before she was born, and her mother died while giving birth to her. Moni, as an infant, was handed over to Morayo, her mom's elder sister, a bitter and ill-tempered woman who hated and despised her and blamed her for the death of Abeni, her sister. It was here she first discovered her gift of healing. Her voice held a magical aura that could heal the most terrible sicknesses and ailments. Aunt Morayo maltreated Moni and took advantage of her gift by exploiting it for selfish gain. It got to a point that Moni couldn't take it anymore. She had suffered enough, and so she made the decision to run away from the village to start afresh elsewhere. In her travels, she came upon another village called Abule Olorin, ruled by Baale Alakija. Abule Olorin was a village of singers, and she fitted right in perfectly. She began going with the singing group to perform in different villages. Had she forgotten the healing powers of her voice? Or maybe it was dormant for a reason, because it had been a long while since she last healed anyone with herbs. Alakija, the Baale and ruler of Abule Olorin, was down on his sick bed with a mysterious ailment that seemed to defy all solutions proffered. The people of Abule Olorin were confused but hopeful. This was because they had sent messengers to tell Moni that the Baale was down with a terrible sickness and pleaded with her to come and attempt to heal him with her angelic voice. Moni quickly heeded the call and arrived back at Abule Olorin swiftly. She entered the royal bedroom where a small group of people were standing and the Baale lying down on his sick bed. This is the story so far, and so our story continues. As she sat near the bed, she held Baale Alakija's frail hands in hers. With a calm and melodic voice, she started singing. She wasn't sure she still had the gift of healing or not. As the intensity of her angelic voice slightly increased, a sudden hush and silence fell over the room as she sang. The birds were quiet. The frogs stopped croaking. Even the crickets, who couldn't help but chirp every second, remained silent for that period she was singing. She sang for some long hours, but there was no improvement in the health of the Baale. The people began to fret and feel uncomfortable. Moni was really their last hope, and if her voice couldn't heal their Baale, then their hope was truly lost. Moni, sensing that the people in the room were beginning to feel discouraged, became emotionally invested in ensuring that Baale Alakija was healed. Most of them were already concluding in their minds that the Baale wouldn't survive the sickness. With a renewed confidence and hope in her healing powers, Moni summoned a new strength she never knew she had and sang with every fiber of her being. As she sang, a glowing warm light enveloped the sick Baale, and his strength began to return gradually. Within a few minutes, Baale Alakija was fully recovered. The people in the room were amazed and grateful that Moni was able to heal their Baale, and the village of Abule Olorin was forever in her debt. This was actually the first time the people of Abule Olorin had ever witnessed Moni's unique gift of healing. Moni herself was relieved that she still had the gift, even after all these years of just singing to entertain and not using her voice to heal anyone. The power of the gift was only dormant when she was singing for entertainment, but when she made up her mind to sing to make the world a better place, the power of healing in her voice was fully restored. And so from there on, Moni knew she was destined destined for something far greater than just being a regular entertainment singer. She was bestowed this gift to change the world, and so she decided to embrace her destiny as a healer to the fullest. She then became the village healer, using her gift to help those in need. People traveled from far and wide to see her, and soon her name was known throughout the land. But unlike before, Moni asked for nothing in return. She sang because it brought her joy, and in doing so, she healed not only the bodies of the sick, but the hearts of the weary. Meanwhile, in a very far away kingdom, west of the village of Abule Olori, across the great Osun River, over the high mountains and deep valleys, stood a great kingdom known as Iluoba, ruled by King Adekunle and Queen Eniola. The kingdom was vast, with golden palaces, fields that stretched as far as the eye could see, and treasures beyond measure. King Adekunle was a wealthy, powerful, and wise king whose rule was characterized with wisdom, strength, and truth. He was respected and beloved by his people, and he ruled with love and compassion. Queen Eniola was a beautiful woman whose strength and encouragement was the pillar behind King Adekunle's successful reign. They were blessed with only a single child, Prince Adewale. The kingdom was prosperous and had wealth and riches that rivaled most surrounding kingdoms. But King Adekunle and his queen had a sorrow deeply rooted within their hearts, one that brought them pain every year. Prince Adewale, who was the only son and sole heir to the throne, was a handsome-looking, tall, and strong young man who shared the positive qualities of wisdom and strength of his father. He was loved by the people of Iluoba Kingdom, and they saw a future king who would rule with wisdom and truth. However, as handsome and well-respected as Prince Adewale was, he had a dark secret he had been battling with almost all his life. 3 times every year for 21 days, the prince would enter spells of abnormal behavior. In short, he acted exactly like a madman for the entire 3 weeks duration. This was because he was possessed by an evil spirit which caused him to lose his mind for that period. And after the 21 days might have elapsed, the prince would return to his normal self. This vicious cycle repeated itself year after year. This was a dark secret that only a handful of the royal council knew about, and even the people of Iluoba were not privy to this information. Prince Adewale, right from his teenage days, had been carrying this heavy burden with no solution in sight. 3 times a year, the evil spirit would appear and possess the young prince, causing him to lose his mind and act in a very strange and bizarre manner. He would tear at his clothes and shout on top of his voice for hours. The palace guards would hold him down, forcefully feeding him a sleeping laxative to ensure he is relaxed. After long hours of struggling, he would finally fall into a deep sleep. His parents, the king and queen, had kept this a dark secret from the people of the kingdom for years. The prince's possession was a mystery. It had begun when he was a boy, and as he grew older, the episodes became more violent and uncontrollable. The issue with the prince could be traced back to when Queen Eniola was still a young maiden. Back then, she unknowingly offended an old woman who happened to be a witch. The old woman cursed her by declaring that Eniola would suffer and her seed would continually be possessed by an evil spirit 3 times a year. She dismissed the old woman's words back then, but years down the line, when the prince started exhibiting these possession episodes, she remembered the curse. She made all attempts to search for the old woman to seek her forgiveness. But when she eventually located the village the old woman was said to live in, she found out that she had died 5 years prior, and so the curse remained. 3 times every year, the evil spirit would possess Prince Adewale for 21 days. During this period, the king and queen would lock Prince Adewale in his room throughout the entire duration of the possession. This went on for years, and with each passing year, the king and queen began to lose hope. King Adekunle and Queen Eniola had tried everything to heal their son, all to no avail. Different pastors, imams, and different spiritualists had come from far and wide to drive the evil spirit away, but the spirit ended up possessing the prince, causing him to attack them in the process, and so no one could withstand the power of the evil spirit. King Adekunle had tried everything under the sun to cure Prince Adewale. He had called upon the greatest healers, herbalists, sorcerers, and diviners from all corners of the land. Sacrifices were made and offerings were given to the gods, but nothing worked. The evil spirit remained and the prince's condition worsened. One day, after a recent episode of possession involving Prince Adewale, the king was sitting down in his chambers, looking worried and deep in thought. The possessions had become more frequent, and Prince Adewale had begun injuring himself during these episodes. This led his parents to make the difficult decision to keep him confined in his chambers. Queen Eniola walked into the royal courts and knelt before King Adekunle. She could see he was worried and disturbed.
Loworimi,
she said in a calm and serene tone.
Why are you deep in thought?
To which King Adekunle replied, Why not? Our son is chained in his room. He cannot even recognize me. How will he ever be able to rule like this? The king said as he bowed his head in tears. Queen Eniola held onto the king and comforted him.
The gods will surely give us a lasting solution. I have faith in the gods.
Queen Eniola knew she had to be strong for her husband, the king. The situation was really dire and she had to show strength in the face of adversity. Meanwhile, back in Abule Olori, Moni flourished and thrived. She was the jewel of Abule Olori. Many people came from far and wide to see the young woman with the healing voice. Moni was a beautiful woman, and the men of the village of Abule Olori were all awed by her grace, beauty, presence, and charisma. She was now a budding young woman with attractive features, but she remained a virgin. She kept strictly to her healing duties in Abule Olori, and whenever the young, handsome men of the village approached her to profess their love for her, she would simply smile and wave them off. She was very busy with her healing duties, and she was focused on fulfilling her destiny as a healer. She simply didn't have the time nor luxury to entertain any relationship. Unknown to Moni, her gift wasn't actually permanent. She would only lose her gift once she had a daughter of her own and her daughter came of age. The gift of healing will then be automatically transferred to the next generation. 38 years ago, way back in history, in the village of Abule Odo, when Abeni, Moni's mother, was still a teenager, her own mother, simply known as Iyaoloja, back in her time, was also a healer as well. She had the same gift as Moni. She could heal with her voice. The gift of healing was a sacred responsibility that was passed down through the generations. Iyaoloja came from a long line of female singers with a special gift. They were called voice healers, and they were revered and respected throughout the kingdom, with some people referring to them as goddesses of peace. The gift passed on from her own great-grandmother to her grandmother to her mother and then to her. However, the gift was supposed to pass down to Abeni, her own daughter, but it skipped her and it was passed on to Moni, Abeni's daughter, instead. And legend had it that once the sacred third gift skipped the parents, the offspring would inherit a double portion of healing power. This meant that Moni had not fully realized the full extent of her healing powers yet. It wasn't entirely clear why the gift didn't pass down from Iyaloja to her daughter Abeni. Maybe the gods had other plans, who knows? The fact of the matter was, the world needed Moni more than ever at a time where the world was suffering chaos and needed healing. According to the dictates of the gods, the holder of the gift loses the gift of healing once they give birth to a female child and the child comes of age. This completes the transference of the gift to the next generation. And so, if Moni ever decided to get married and have children, once she gave birth to her first daughter, the gift will automatically leave her and pass on to her daughter. Meanwhile, back in Abuliodo, Morayo was gutted to find out that Moni had escaped from her clutches. Her money-making venture was gone, and slowly her riches began to decline. She had no clue where exactly Moni was, but sooner rather than later, news reached Abuliodo of a female healer in a distant land who heals all manner of sicknesses and ailments with her angelic voice. When Morayo heard the news, she was totally convinced this was Moni, and she began devising a devious scheme to have Moni kidnapped and bundled back to Abuliodo. She wanted more riches and wealth and knew that having Moni back in her clutches would bring back riches and wealth for her, just as she monetized Moni's healing gifts like before. Back in the kingdom of Iluoba, King Adekunle and Queen Eniola were still battling to find a permanent solution to cure their son, Prince Adewale. In their desperation and in a last-ditch attempt to find a lasting solution, they visited the great oracle of the land, Orisha Ewe, where they offered a great sacrifice, 100 yams, 50 cows, 100 rams, and gold enough to feed a village for a lifetime. Pa Fadeyi, the chief priest of the great oracle Orisha Ewe, was an old man with eyes as white as milk and thick white beards, which highlighted his profound wisdom and perception. He listened carefully to their plight. He entered a deep trance, his body shaking and his voice turning otherworldly. Your son is suffering as a result of a curse by a powerful witch who unfortunately is no more. However, there is a permanent solution. There is only one who can heal your son. Pafadeyi said. She is a maiden with a voice touched by the gods. Her song can banish even the darkest of spirits. Seek her out, for she is your last hope. Pa Fadeyi then paused for some minutes, as if gathering more information from the oracle. He then continued. The oracle warns that the prince must get married to a virgin. This is the final act that will break the curse and ensure the evil spirit never returns. King Adekunle then asked the oracle where they could find the maiden, to which Pa Fadeyi replied, the oracle did not specify. But know this, she exists in this world, blessed by the gods to be a beacon of hope for those who seek healing. And you need to find her before your son can be fully healed. With a renewed sense of hope, they left for their own kingdom. When King Adekunle and Queen Eniola got back to Iluoba, they dispatched messengers to every corner of the kingdom, ordering them to find the maiden with the healing voice. It wasn't long before word reached the king's ears of a girl who had fled her village and become a healer in a distant land. Her name was Moni. Back in Abule-Olori, one fateful afternoon, Moni was seated in her room after a session of healing where she healed quite a number of people. Some messengers arrived from Iluoba sent by King Adekunle. The message was a plea to Moni, which was to go back with them to Iluoba to help heal the possessed prince. When she heard all that the poor prince had been through, compassion swelled in her heart, and she made the decision to go with the messengers back to Iluoba. Meanwhile, Morayo had gotten wind of the exact location of Moni, and so, in a desperate attempt to gain more wealth, she sent mercenaries to capture her and bring her back to Abuliodo. Will Morayo succeed in her evil plan? And will Moni get to Iluaba safely without confrontation from the mercenaries? Find out this and many more in the final part of this epic tale, The Gift of Moni. Thanks so much for watching. The final part of this story will be out soon, so please subscribe and put on the notification bell so you don't miss it when it drops. Also, smash the like button and share if you found this story engaging and interesting. And don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section. I would really love to hear from you. Till I bring to you another enchanting African tale. This is the African Storyteller.